there. And here on the main stage, I will continue and pass the baton to Sergio Caldeirinha from Portugal that will talk about unlocking the secrets of a dojo. Sergio, with you.
What do these professions have in common? I can be this firefighting, okay, saving lives and exits. I need to have perfect execution among my teamwork. Okay? I can be in the middle of a chaotic situation, but I can also change and be a professional coach. I need to teach tactics and team coordination, right? But I can be this maestro. I can take control of my orchestra, saying when the music should step in and the others should step out, marking the rhythm, the takt time of the operation. Last but not least, I can be in the middle of a hostage situation, and I need to have a sequence of action. What is the plan A, B, C, or even D? So crucial is synchronization. So what do these professions have in common? Let's find out. So, getting back to you. Welcome to you all and to this wonderful Lean Global Connection 2023, our third iteration on this event. Welcome again. I'm Sergio Caldeirinha, founder of the Lean Academy in Portugal. And I'm here today to share my learnings through these more or less 2 decades of learning and collaboration amongst the Lean Global Network. And be aware that English is not my native English, and there will be some sequence transitions through the presentation, so bear with me on the following 30 minutes. You can go and download the presentation to see it now, real time, or later. So don't waste your time going through notes or taking snapshots of the presentation. You can get it easily. Okay, during the presentation, just snap the QR code. So let me share my presentation. Here we are. Okay. I was making mention about the QR code, so you are now able to just give a quick photo or just find it on the bottom right side of our presentation, okay? So I'm following up with the last year edition, okay, where I went through this dojo, the one that you are seeing, okay, on my background. It's an academic dojo where we teach and deliver some trainings and sessions. Okay, so picking up on this experimentation and on these 2 decades of learning, adding on whatever and the education, the books, the white papers, all the web stuff that is being shared throughout the decades as being the best in practice example, Toyota, let us have and go through how to set up this dojo. So this was last year presentation, and I will now just address and pinpoint here something about Mr. Sadao Nomura, okay, with this book, The Toyota Way of Dontotsu Radical Quality Improvement. We have met Mr. Nomura in 2017 in Nagoya, Japan. during the Lean Global Network 10th year anniversary. So let's talk about dojos. So dojos are these communities of practice. They are groups of people who share a concern, a set of problems, or a passion about a topic, and who deepen their knowledge and expertise in this area by interacting on an ongoing basis. On the other hand, we know that there is, or that knowledge is tacit as well as explicit. And sharing tacit knowledge requires interaction and informal learning, okay? Informal learning processes, such as storytelling, conversation, coaching, and apprenticeship, okay? Of kind that those that we create the dynamics on these communities of practice, okay? So moving forward into Mr. Nomura's method, okay? So this is his method on human development, education and training, where education means teaching things that a person doesn't know. You see the example here. And where training means having a person repeating a task until he or she can do it well and on time, okay? So let's go through these concepts. So in a nutshell, Mr. Nomura elaborates that this is a kind of four-step sequence. The education of new persons, the training of new persons, then the life journey throughout the profession with the multi-skill development, and if something goes wrong, the education and retraining after any defect or non-conformance has been found. So let's step into the education of new persons. The first pillar is select the key points to address. So at this point in time, okay, see what you want to address in your own dojo for the process that you elected to train your people on. Maybe safety basics, job standards, material handling stuff, quality checks, or other technicalities, okay? Then set your education and training curriculum, okay? See the difference here, okay? Education and training curriculum. Set the number of days, what is the sequence that you think is the best, the content by the hour or even by the minute, and then separate teaching from training, okay? And also separate the validation of a skill from the validation of a competence. Let me illustrate. We can have a skill example, how to drive a moto, okay? The skill validation is to pass the driver's license test. This is different from competence. Competence, if you want an example, is perform accident avoidance maneuvers, okay? And drive safely on wet conditions. How can I validate this? Is not with the driver's license, is with 0 accidents over X hours of driving or Y hours of testing on those conditions, the dojo. So let's move to the third pillar on education, create instructors. You need to have an army of instructors. So be hard on the processes where you provide competences to your instructors, okay? Be hard on that process, train to the detail. As a synthesis for the first step, key points to address, set your education and training curriculum, and build your instructors' foundations base. Second step, training of new persons. So let's step into Nomura's 2 methods, okay? The offline training, where we call dojo, and the on-the-line or online training, the Gemba, okay? So there is this dynamic between dojo and Gemba, this interaction. And if you see here, one of the charts on the book, you will see that Mr. Nomura says that, well, during the online train, expect some variation. There will be fast learners and slow learners. So be aware of the rhythm of each one of the person and be there, be cautious, be careful about all these details. So everybody can be up to 100% of their proficiency. So this offline training could be up to 2 days, okay? So make it simple. The dojo needs to be very simple and needs to have very basic training tools, okay? That they need to be designed for each one of the skills you want to train, okay? Set the target times and then test the proficiency, okay? Guarantee that persons can be on time in full of the job that they need to perform. Just a quick example. You see this image here? So this is a hexahedral device for bolt tightening training, okay? You see that you can have a bunch of angles and inclinations, okay? You can train everybody on how to bolt a nut, okay? And you can test it according to the needs of the real Gemba, okay? And check that the device is very simple. And then let me share, I mentioned on the beginning that Toyota is kind of being our lighthouse on these aspects, and that basically they have dojos everywhere. This is where we were in Nagoya 2017 at the Toyota Engineering Corporation. So we were there seeing how they learn and teach their people. But we can go to this side in UK with the Toyota Lean Management Center and check this. This is a safety dojo, okay? Not a manufacturing or assembly dojo. We can go to Australia and we'll find out the Toyota Production System Support Center, okay? They are replicating a final assembly line, okay? With the end-ons and all the Kanbans and so far and so forth, okay? And going through the exercises. Then Asia Pacific with the Global Production Training Center. You see the trainer, the trainee, the sensei on the background, the end-on, the lines. So everything is carefully detailed and laid out so people can have the best environment on how to learn the task. Europe, okay, Toyota Motor Europe. So we can have, again, assembly dojos and also ergonomic dojos, where they teach people on how to follow the best practices, not to hurt themselves. So there are a lot of things that you can do on your dojo. In these examples, you see on the left-hand side, exercises for memory and coordination, because there are processes where cycle time can go up to 90 seconds. So you need to have memory of the sequence. So you need to train the memory, okay, and the coordination. On the right-hand side, you see exercises for dexterity and finger learning, okay, for fine-tuning movements, where you need to really grasp what you need to do on each one of the finger movements. So we have done, or we are done with the offline training, now the online training. Okay, from 3 to 5 days, you have seen on the graph. So the first thing is the role of the trainer, okay? So give guidance on a man-to-man basis, okay? Until your persons are 100% proficient. And you are responsible for them during all the training and on-job training period, on the dojo and on the Gemba, during that time period, okay? The trainer takes full responsibility for everything, okay? Cycle times, quality checks, records, everything that the person needs to do. If they fail to do it, it's trainer's fault, not person's fault, okay? So about the Gemba, you need to have this trainer mentality, okay? Teach with a strong will, with enthusiasm, okay? Don't stress your persons, and teach them the tips that only the expertise know. This will kind of ramp up their knowledge about what they are doing. Okay, so as a synthesis, we have come with first education, now training of new persons. So it's all about the training method, how you set up the dojo and how you set up the Gemba. Third step, okay, so multi-skill development. Okay, so this is the life journey of a person in the organization. Okay, so it's one of the most important, or one of the important elements of Toyota production system. Okay, it's vital to have multi-skilled workers. And Toyota sets these in this way. They have these 4 levels of proficiency, and according to the validation of skills and validation of competences, they will put a person on a certain level of proficiency. If you are on the level 1 or level 2, that means that the trainer needs to be alongside with them, okay? If they are 3 or 4, they are independent, okay? And the rule here is to accomplish what they call the rule of 3 by 3, which means that you see there in this chart is processes on columns, persons on lines. So the goal is to have for each person, and team A, element 3 needs to be at least on 3 processes, needs to be level 4 proficient, okay? If you look to the column, each process needs to have at least 3 persons at level 4, okay? So you can have flexibility, okay, and redundancy, okay? So we are about to reach step 4, which is if something goes wrong, you need to go through education, retrain, okay, after some defect found. So human-related faults can be fully eliminated only if the team leader encourages worker motivation with enthusiasm, okay, and provide guidance on these regular basis, okay? So let me just show you, not in detail, we do not have the time, it's just for you to know that this stuff is pretty much well organized, and you can go afterwards in detail, okay, through the book. So Nomura says that there is basically the team leader tasks and the workers tasks. The team leader tasks is to recheck the standards, okay, to see if something went wrong or if the standard is not complete, okay, and then provide re-education and retraining. On the other hand, workers' tasks is to go through monozukuri, which is what we call conscientious manufacturing, okay, about going into strict compliance, okay, to the trained standards, okay? And just to end up, they even have these individual training records, which means that if something goes wrong, the person or persons that need to be retrained, they will have a logbook. They will register the reasons for retraining. They register the details of the retraining, and they register the details of the checks that they made not to have that error occurring again, okay? So the permanent corrective checks for the permanent corrective actions. And we have seen this slide also in Nagoya, in Toyota, where they even have this formula, okay? So it blew my mind at the time. So to maximize output, they have these product of factors that are for all employees, not only workers, but staff, and where they say that to maximize output is the product of personality times ability and motivation, which I found great to share here with you. So, in a nutshell, the overall synthesis: education of new persons, training of new persons, then the on-live or ongoing journey of the persons in the organization with the multi-skill development, and then if something goes wrong, the retraining and re-education, okay? So we do not have the time to go deeply into these details, but I will kind of suggest you that you can go through this link and you will check out some of key moments here. You will see on the left-hand side that the operator is ready to start, so the right arm is raised. So that's when the time starts to count. Then it comes to the first assembly checkpoints when the operator finger points to the part illustrating that he's controlling, making a check. The same for a torque point. And at the end, there is another end coming in, which means that the sensei is correcting the person. So this is to illustrate, okay, what I'm trying to say with some photos, texts, and obviously the text. So lean thinking is about more than anything else, rethinking, reimagining what work can be. So taking the words of John Chook, let's elevate the work, celebrate it, and with that, let's treat it with the deep respect it deserves. That applies to the lowly receptionist or the more respected surgeon, a street sweeper, or a magician. And to end in a high note, consider exactly the finest example of a process that, when not executed flawlessly, completely loses its enchantment. So, ladies and gentlemen, be enchanted by Tiago Almeida, the today's magician.
Sergio, can you hear us? Okay.
whatever you may want to ask, feel free, use our chat, put your questions, and I will be here to try to give my best answer to it.
Okay, so we have a question from Doug. He asks, any thoughts on how a retail organization with hundreds or thousands of stores might implement the dojo concept?
Adriana, just re-ask.
Yes.
Okay.
Any thoughts on how a retail organization with hundreds or thousands of stores might implement the dojo concept?
Well, that's
Sergio? Sergio? Can you hear me, Sergio?
yes, Thompson.
Okay, we have another question from Joe. He says, any good examples for night shift training?
Well,
I don't think people could hear your answer. Maybe they could, and you can answer through my headphones. No, they were saying, please check the sound.
is it going on now?
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay,
Please, if you can repeat.
Yeah, so for the night shift trainings at the dojo, okay, thank you.
Sergio?
So I was mentioning what is not fair to do. It's not fair to ask people to come earlier or leave after the night shift. That will sound like a burden, not like something that the organization should promote.
We had a few problems there at the last few minutes, but afterwards, if you can send to the chat the answers, that would be great. So at this moment, we are closing here with Sergio. Thank you, Sergio. Thank you, Portugal.